Good evening, everyone. It's October 19th, 2023, and we have finished with a very, very high volume red session across the indices. 120 million shares down on the S&P, as you can see, one of the highest sessions since that March dip towards the yearly lows at the time. Same thing on the NQ, getting some decent volume here on the sell side for once and ramping volumes on the sells. That is nice to see if you are short. The Dow also getting some solid selling, the shorts able to re-engage, and the Russell getting some huge volumes, maybe some of the biggest sell volumes on the year. That might actually be, yeah, same thing, right around that March area. So we are hanging out near the low of the year. I believe this is the low of the year. I've marked off that price, 167 and 46 cents. That is the low of the year currently on the Russell. I would be surprised if we just drilled through that tomorrow. Tomorrow is also OPEX, and we have FOMC's Harker speaking pre-market. Today we had Jerome Powell talking. We also had the unemployment info, the Philly manufacturing stuff, and existing home sales. All that sort of stuff came in. Russell, unsurprising to keep moving down. The Dow, actually a little bit surprising that it's lost the bid, and I assume shorts are re-engaging again. It'll be interesting to see what the COT data says, given how short they have been as of late. Nasdaq, again, unsurprising with the sell there. I've been saying that for a matter of days that I think the Nasdaq's going to be our sell-off ticker. The S&P also able to sell off quite nicely. So uh, across all the indices, um, getting these failures. The Russell was not able to reclaim the weekly open. The Dow was unable to reclaim Tuesday's lows. ES was unable to reclaim Tuesday's open and low as well. Instead, it closed underneath last week's low over here at 427s. And the NQ also with a close under last week's low. So by all means, not looking so great on the long side. And currently, futures over here, turn off these indicators, 30-minute chart. Futures, there's the futures open right there, 42.95 on the ES and 18 or 14,850 on the NQ. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 850 on the NQ. Uh, Not really much trade above the opens and instead breaking yesterday's lows. So this is not what you want to see when you get a low close. Typically, when you get a low close, you want to see the previous day's low over here. You want to see that get untouched and just float upwards to have an evidence of excess shorting into the close and get that sort of floating away from the lows. But instead, this is not too great. So, in terms of trading this for tomorrow, let's go over to the S&P for a second. Uh, let's throw this on a yeah, it looks good. 30-minute chart. I don't really want to see us reclaim. Eh, let's call it somewhere around here. I don't want to see us reclaim this balance low, so about 429.5. This also lines up with a lower time frame where we auctioned over here around that 429.5 and then sold off heavily. So I want to see us stay below this chunk of inventory. Nicely, that lines up with what will be settlement lows here at 429 and 10 cents. So this is going to be the primary area of interest for me to get an idea of if we're moving up or not. If we get above here, I imagine we'll get above the open from today's session around 431. Possibly take out these highs and get into, I don't know, whatever, this sort of area here, get into Wednesday's highs or whatever. So ideally, we hold this kind of 429 to 430 area and continue selling downwards. Where to, this looks like a decent spot. The September low of month, 422-ish. That'll be a, let's say you only got up to the previous day's low. 30, 40 point move. That'd be decent on an OPEX. I doubt we're going to break these current lows a month tomorrow. I imagine we get a nice dip and then kind of chop around during OPEX. So with that in mind, ignoring this lower area, this is all I'm sort of interested in, is taking shorts either the previous day's low, the -3 standard deviation last week's VWAP, the close last week's low, -2 standard deviation, or settlement lows. Above there, I'm not really interested in playing this thing. I don't think shorts are going to hold here. I think once you get over today's RTH Open, I think you're out of luck. Um, Same thing on the Nasdaq, playing whatever the close, last week's low, settlement lows, blah blah blah. Same thing, that chunk of inventory, playing all that sort of stuff. Once you get above there, I think you end up taking out this sort of level and getting into Wednesday's sort of highs around there. So that's how I'm looking at it, ignoring all this stuff again to the downside. I am short biased once again. Um, yeah, it looks like a good spot. 422 and 29 cents. Yeah, the September low of month. That looks like a decent spot to me for short covering to happen. Yeah, hold it for the rest of OPEX and the rest of this week. That's all I really got. Short bias for move to 422 and 29 cents on the S&P. Let's call it, I don't know, 355-ish on the Nasdaq. Perhaps on the Dow, something like, yeah, that looks decent. 330-ish on the Dow, and I think we'll be able to run that low. The current low of the year, 168-ish, 167.5 on the Russell. So I'm short biased and then going to be looking for chop after the euro close to close out OPEX. That's all I'm looking for tomorrow. And then hopefully we get some interesting COT data. Currently, we are seeing gold continuing to move up. We're seeing that risk off asset continue to move up. So that's all I got there. Anyway, hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. Have a great night.